and welcome back to Pommyinoz again, another episode of My Kind of People, and we're joined by none other than a guy that plays a few roles in my life. He's my best mate, he's my work colleague, he's the guy that helps me dunk on Melts in 2K. How you doing, Rowan Higgs?
Doing very, very well, man. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be good. We're going to look after you here. So obviously the premise of this show is we always talk about sport. We're going to do something a bit different as well this week.
All right, you lead the way, man.
But tell me, so you're a Hawthorn fan, and obviously you're in a Spurs shirt, so tell me your sporting teams and how you came about them.
Yeah, so obviously, as you mentioned, Hawthorn, but maybe talk about the Spurs first, considering I'm wearing the shirt. Just come off a good win inside. We watched last quarter there against the Nuggets. So the story about the Spurs is, well, growing up, I used to play basketball as a kid in primary schools when I got into it, and back then it was in early 90s, so it was all Jordan. It was all the Bulls, it was all Jordan, and it still is really. Even my son, who's he loves Jordan and doesn't really follow the NBA that much, loves basketball, but still wears the Jordan gear, wears his Bulls stuff, creates 2K characters, makes it look like Jordan. So I mean, he's just an icon, isn't he? I just don't think we're ever going to see the likes of him again. But going for the Bulls. And then so we'll fast forward to probably my adulthood. It was around the time Patty Mills got traded from the Trailblazers to the Spurs. Yeah. And the Aussies didn't really have that bigger, footprint on the NBA. Obviously, you had Luke Longley back at the Bulls, which was sort of cool. He was the first Australian to win championship rings, and he's a legend of the game. But Mills went there, and I was with my brother-in-law was talking about it, and I said to him, we weren't really following the NBA much. So there was sort of like a period in my life I wasn't really following it. I said, we'll get back on, stuff. I'll go for the Spurs. Always liked Robinson. So started getting into it, and watched a few games, watched the final series against the Heat, and we lost. And I wasn't that into it at that point. I remember it went down to Game 7, and I think LeBron was with the Heat at that point, and Ray Allen hit a clutch 3 or something, sent it to overtime, and they won. The next year, I was away in Queensland on a boys' trip, and I was watching. I was more into it, and I was watching. I think it's Game 5. I can't remember, but Mills came on, and he tore it up. And that was just when I was just sold out from by then. Obviously, I've got a Mills Guernsey on, and just follow him. And obviously, what we were talking about earlier with the NBA, there's not really much player loyalty. Easy going around. But one thing I love about the Spurs, and they're kind of similar system to the Hawks, they've got a coach that's Pop's been there over 20 years, and they do have loyalty. Obviously, there's player movement and everything, but Mills is still there. And every time his contract's up, I sort of think, is he going to move on? Is it going to? And he hasn't, and he's there. He's happy with his minutes, and he's having probably one of the best seasons I've seen him play. And coming off the bench, playing that 6-man role, and hoping he can get the 6-man award this year, which top off I think he deserves it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so massive Paddy fan, massive Spurs fan, and when Paddy goes, obviously I'll still be supporting him. Yep.
I mean, it is a thing in it with NBA, and it's something that we'll move on to AFL as well, that we don't really have player loyalty in the NBA, but AFL, obviously, we know your team, Hawthorn.
Yep.
Many players stay at that club for a long time, and usually the only time you cart them off is when they're a bit too old.
To help other teams, yeah.
Is a bit too old. So talk to me about your Hawthorn journey.
Yeah, so the Hawks journey is... A lot of people sort of barrack for the team. Their dad sort of push them into it. You sort of get pushed into a team unless you rebel or something like that. Mine's the same story, but I was pushed into the Hawks not because my dad barracked for them. So my dad, growing up in the 80s, Hawthorn were a powerhouse, and my old man barracked for Collingwood. And I wasn't sure who I wanted to barrack for. I was around probably 4 or 5 at this point, probably too young to really figure out what was going on with it. And I said I wanted to barrack for the Lions because they sounded, the Lions sounds tough. And he goes, the old man says, he could see that Fitzroy were going out, that they didn't have much of a future. And he goes, no, you don't want to go for the Lions. He goes, what about, and he said, well, about Hawks, they swoop down, they kill things. And he goes, and I said, yeah, I like Hawks. So he sort of pushed me towards that. And I remember the 88 grand final was probably one of my earliest memories, walking in, and my old man was watching it with his mate who was a Melbourne supporter, and I was like, what's the score? And Freeman was like, because they were getting absolutely battered. And I remember that, and since then, just sort of barracked for him. And then by the early 90s, I was right into my footy. back then it was hard to watch games because they weren't on TV all the time. But have to listen to it on the radio. You know, go into my parents' room because that was the only radio in the house. I remember a Saturday afternoon just sitting on their bed listening to 3AW or I don't know, whatever, 3LO, whatever was on. But yeah, so that was then. And then I don't know, just grew up barracking for him, got right into it. There was the merger scare in '96, and one good mate of mine that I went to high school with. Then I've still taught them. We had memberships, went to the games out at Waverley, supporting them through all the dark years. And then obviously
got a bit better, didn't it?
Yeah, got a lot better in adulthood. But back then, bought our memberships. Back then, going to Waverley, we catch a bus from Frankston. You know, that Hawks would walk, because back then Hawthorn never pushed their membership. Like, it was never really big. That's sort of one of the reasons they sort of fell into that financial hole. Is other teams would have, you know, memberships. We were playing out at, you know, Prince's Park back then, Carlton's ground, and you know, it wasn't, you know, who's going to go out there? My old man wasn't taking me out to Carlton. We go out to Waverley. So yeah, I don't know. Everyone got on the membership train, and I think we went from 12,000 members to 25,000, I think, with that membership drive. And yeah, been on him ever since. Son's a member since he's been born, and yeah, just love it, mate. Love it.
And obviously you had the glory years.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys who watch this, they're Carlton fans. We're still to experience that turn. What was that like, being a Hawk fan when he built that dynasty? Because to be fair, Clarkson built a dynasty very quickly and very sustainable.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, 2007, I could see us coming good. We had Lewis was starting to fire, then Buddy, Ruffy. Was that draft was sort of really coming into it. Hodge was already established. Mitchell, you know, was starting to come on. They just started to get that cohesiveness as a group, and could see that coming. And then 2008 was obviously Geelong were the premier team, but all year, I remember halfway through the season, I said to old man, I reckon we're going to win it this year. Like, we were like the second team, we were the challenger, but just something in me sort of went, oh no, I think we're going to do it. Something in me just sort of felt it, and I was quietly confident going into the grand final. And yeah, that one, after it, I remember we won. I went off to the toilet. I was at a mate's house and I had tears in my eyes. I was just like, we did it. Like, it was 20 years, and it was pinch that one. Next year, hangover. 2010, I think, lost to Freo. But I mean, we had a run of finals up to that three-peat dynasty, and we lost to Sydney in 2012, which was, I actually took that really well. Went to, even after that, I remember the next day went out to Glenferrie Oval. There was no one there. Obviously we lost, there was no one there. They have, like, obviously you're the losing team, you have one team where it's sort of, I remember like the Bulldogs, they had a sea of people, like, that was great out at Whitten Oval. Yeah, it's quite the opposite at the other end, and yeah, everyone was in bed the next day in Hawthorn, but oh well. Next 3 years were different.
Well, I mean, obviously huge success, and obviously now going through like kind of you'd say a microscopic rebuild by the looks of it, what Clarkson's doing. He's bringing in some good youngsters in this draft. He's building, you can see, I reckon you're on the second wave. He looks like you're nearly there. You're not far off.
Yeah, well, see, the thing when you got Clarko as a coach, and obviously he's well respected around the league. I mean, how many premiership coaches have come from him? I mean, you got, what, Hardwick? You got, help me out, West Coast, you got
you've got
Simpson.
Summer.
You know,
West Coast have done it. Well, they've won the last 7, haven't they?
Luke Beveridge. Was under
Hawker.
Yeah, so.
And you've also got, you know, the Brisbane coach as well.
Yeah.
Fagan, he's a former, and they look like they're going to be there or thereabouts. It's pretty much the top 8 is Clarkson built as well.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously he's an icon of the game.
Apart from the one you gave us, Brendan Bolton. Cheers for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, now he's back, isn't he? He's back at the Hawks. Dumb shift again, but yeah. Oh well. But yeah, look, no, it's good. When you got a coach like that, even if things look bad, you're sort of always waiting for him to sort of, you know, change the rule book, change the playbook a little bit, and see what's going. I think, look, this year don't have many hopes, but what I'm actually looking forward to is I'm looking forward to seeing the young fellas. You know, like, I'm hoping, and you know, this we're talking about now, this fallout between what's going on with Scully and you know, the general pattern and everything. My opinion is that they can go, because like they're basically clogging up spots that I think I prefer them to just sort of go and see players like Finn McGuinness, Dylan Moore, you know, Damon Greaves and all that really sort of come through, because and see, I think we've got a good young group, which I think could be moulded, what Clarko's doing could be moulded into finals team in the next few years and a potential getting back on top.
They are a team from a tipping point of view when you're a neutral that you never doubt Hawthorn.
No.
You never doubt. You just think Clarkson can sprinkle a bit of magic. We saw it against Carlton last year. That game was dead and buried. We should have killed you.
Yep.
And then out of nowhere, Clarkson makes 1 or 2 changes and suddenly we're hearing the Hawks song, not the Carlton song.
Yeah.
Quality bands.
Yeah, no, they're a good team to follow. So, you never know what you're going to get sometimes. And then when you do expect something, that's footy though, isn't it? But yeah, look, they're not dark days. The media might make it look like dark days. I think we're touted by Fox Footy as 15th this year. We'll see.
Well, I mean, you can never. Clarkson is the kind of guy that could make an 8 out of next to nothing. You'd back him in.
Yeah.
I reckon you'd be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, sort of that likeness that they've got to the Spurs too. I mean, looking at it, Spurs have got, obviously, we were talking about it before, not really an perennial all-star. Maybe DeRozan this year because he's been stellar, but but we've got a good young group: Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray, all that, Lonnie Walker. So sort of see the similarities with my two teams. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but
I'll definitely like Pop as well. He builds a culture, which Hawthorn definitely have a culture. You can see
there's that system, and that system has been in place for a long time, and I love that. So that's sort of why I get really passionate about it, and I love the teams that I follow, is because it's got that solid structure to it, and you got sort of something it's almost beautiful in a way, you know what I mean? That core sort of nucleus of a sporting team or franchise. So yeah.
So obviously we know the premise of the show is things that bring together. Now, interesting, we talk about basketball because we actually met through 2K. 2K, me and Higgsy are dads that play games.
Too much, probably.
Too much games. Too much games.
Yeah, me even more so, I think. So, yeah.
So I mean, obviously, your sport as well, like mine, it transcends not from reality, it's a pretend reality of sport. So, tell us a little bit about your gaming profile. Like, what games would Higgsy play other than 2K? We know you play 2K with me. What else gets Higgsy motivated?
Yeah, well, before you, I used to be a bit of a trophy hunter, as you know, sort of just a few crappy games just so trophies would pop, but I sort of got over it a bit. I still try 100% games, I 100% platinumed 2K20, which was probably the biggest waste of time of my life.
That was amazing though.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person in the world.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I should actually get an award from Ronnie. I actually should get a phone call. Ronnie should be calling me. It evidently doesn't make your character any better, so we still get chased down blocks from the opposition from half court when we're in an open dunk, but whatever. Other games, gosh, I don't know, lately I've been playing the Avengers game. That's not bad. Obviously Marvel's, who doesn't love a superhero, who doesn't love that kind of thing. What else have we played? Gosh, so many. Doom, played a bit of Need for Speeds. Never really played FIFA much. I know you love FIFA. Never really done that.
It's a POM thing.
Yeah.
You got to be English to love FIFA.
Yeah.
Like, you get frustrated about 2K play FIFA, I tell you, because it's the same frustration level, but without the abuse, is what I say. It's more funny abuse.
Well, on that, we gave AFL Evo a go. I know you love it. You're top 10 in Australia, but yeah. I mean, yeah.
You hated
I think
that.
I scored 2 goals when I played against you.
You hated that game, didn't you?
I hated it. Yeah. I hated it. Yeah. I sold it on eBay while it still had monetary value. Yes.
Like 2 weeks in, you sold it. Like, what a man. So we did last week as well, which is interesting. Thank you to everyone who watches the show. I've got a lot of top 10s from your childhood. Another thing that you're about, and it always surprises me when I first met you, is you love your music.
Yeah.
And that is another thing that brings people together.
Yeah.
And divides them, because there's been some controversial top 10s I've received. But
well, the hottest 100 every year, for those of you that know about Triple J, is getting worse by the year, and that divides people, because that radio station has gone from, I used to idolise it as a youth, and it used to be, it's been a launching pad for so many Australian bands, and look, and it still is, but it may as well be video hits,
Some of the music that I've found in that hottest 100 is garbage, but then again, I am old.
Yeah, well, it's sort of coming through. Obviously, here where we are, where we're doing this, is I have a party every year, and we do it, and it gone from, I think, every time a good song's on, we turn it up, and then we just talk a whole lot of crap in between, and just have some beers and just hang out. But it's always a good day. But yeah, it's just the spectacle's not quite there anymore. We're more just about the hanging out having a drink than actually enjoying the tunes. But there is still some good ones there, and yeah, there is still some bands that actually they've introduced me to, Triple J, that I love, which I will get to.
So tell us then, you've done your top 10
have,
and you've followed the traditional Pom method, which we get excited. So take me through a musical journey with Rowan Higgs.
All right,
I'm
so
excited.
so this is a musical journey, and it's not going to be, some of them are my all-time favourite bands, some of them aren't, but sort of I thought about it, we've got to relate it to areas in your life. What band were you listening to at that time? What does it remind you of, in your life, that kind of thing? Why does it mean something? And I mean, I had to narrow it down from probably about 1,000 to
This would have
10.
been hard work. If anyone knows Higgsy, he could give you 100 for each age.
Yeah, that's
So solid work for 10. I'll give you that.
All right, so you want me to start?
Yeah, go on. Where are we?
So sort of like the video you did, I can't start as early as 2, because wasn't really listening to music then. But at age 6, 7, in the car, this is the band Mental as Anything. It's an Australian band. My dad had a best of cassette, and the old man and I don't share much musically. Like, he's influenced me on 2 bands in my whole life. The first one is Mental as Anything. The second is The Doors, which aren't on this list, so I've added a sneaky one in there. But we'll listen to it in the car, and I like the songs Mental as Anything, and they've been around for a while. Seen them. I've taken the old man to 2 gigs, and Greedy Smith, lead singer, passed away, I think, not year before last, which was kind of sad, but saw him down at Mornington, at the Publican in Mornington, one of the last shows that they did. So that was cool. So yeah, Mental as Anything at number 1, because obviously the old man influenced me on that, and it's a band that I still liked and listened to all throughout, even now, occasionally, and I've seen them live. So that's why they're there.
I've never heard of them as well.
Yeah.
Solid
look them
work,
up.
that.
Yeah, Mental as Anything. So I think quite a few of you out there hopefully will know, but yeah.
Yeah, the Aussies will know.
Right.
Just uneducated Pom won't.
This second one you will know. Now this is the first, we're going around, I was in grade 5, grade 6 this time, so age 11. This is the first album I ever bought, which wasn't a CD. Parents didn't have a compact disc player even though that they were out, so I bought it on cassette, and it is E17's Walthamstow.
E17, we are going back. The Council Estate boy band.
Freaking loved them, man, back then. Yeah, everybody.
How good were they?
Yeah, so they were good, and looking back on it, it's like basically a boy band, really, aren't they? So,
it was a cool boy band.
Yeah.
If you look at the 90s
big Staffy
pop.
Terrier. Was it? Yes, English Staffy Terrier. Tony Mortimer, Terry. So, yeah.
Yeah, but that was English music in the 90s. They all followed, but E17 were like, the Council Estate will go to the normal people.
Cover all bases.
And it was genius.
Yeah.
And I remember them. Christmas number 1 as well. Stay Now. That was like.
Oh yeah.
Number
that
1
was the second album, wasn't it?
That was like number 1 for like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Stay another day. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, proper 90s video clip as well with this snow background.
Oh gosh.
Absolutely.
Shirts off. And,
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Nipple piercing. Oh, what a flashback. I remember that.
Yeah, I had posters of them on the wall. I know. Smash Hits magazine, I think it was.
Yeah, I reckon I had my first kiss to E17 at a Christmas party at school. I reckon.
Yeah, gosh. Here's a test. All of you out there, put E17 on and see if you can woo a lady you don't know, or woo the other half. Give it a shot. I might.
Do you I reckon it would have been Tilly. Yeah, like year 9.
Yeah.
Year 8 or 9, and it would have been at E17.
Yeah.
Stay Now. If you're still watching, Tilly, I had a massive crush on you. I'm sorry I was a dickhead. I'm not though. I'm like 35 now. I don't care. I did at the time. Sorry.
But I'd love it if you get a comment from her or a PM. That'd be nice.
Our Facebook stalked her the other day. Actually, her husband owns a yacht, so honestly, she couldn't give 2 iotas of a shit. I reckon.
Yeah.
So I don't own a yacht.
Shout out to her though.
Shout out to you. Cheers, darling.
Yeah. All right. So at number 3. So we're going in high school here, and there's a band I had known about and listened to for a while, and it is one of my all-time favourite bands. But when I got into them more and started listening to them a lot, and referred to that cassette thing, still didn't own a CD player at this time. Guns N' Roses. So Gunners are one of my all-time favourites. My one of my best mates at the time, who was 10, he passed away in 92 in a car accident, and his favourite band was Gunners, and he didn't really know many songs. He had some stepbrothers that had the User Illusion albums, and he had November Rain on his Walkman, and he listened to it all the time, November Rain. And every time I hear November Rain, I think about him. But yeah, so I knew about them. Obviously, they had that tour here at Calder Park, and it was one where everyone had to pay $5 for a cup of water and stuff that just wouldn't happen now, like a violation of human rights, really. But they're famous for that, and they came out at the MCG a few years ago, and they're going to come back again. And I actually got to see them because I'd never seen them before. I remember you've seen them when they just had Axl, yeah. But this was the reformation. I'm skipping ahead now, but I saw them with Slash and Duff and everything. But Gunners I listened to, and I was lucky enough. I was walking across the street where I grew up in Langwarrin, Kringle Hub Shopping Centre. I was walking across Cranbourne Road, and I found this cassette on the ground. It was just sitting in the middle of the road, and I picked it up. I took it home, and I listened to it, and it had Appetite for Destruction on one side and Gunners Lies on the other. So I've always sort of said that as much as that tape, I didn't find that tape found me. And Appetite's one of my favourites. It's just a great record. It's one of my all-time favourites. So I was lucky enough, not having that much money growing up at that time. That was pretty cool. So that's the story behind Gunners.
That is a pretty cool story. That fate brought you to Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of ways, obviously through a mate, through their popularity, and then just listening to them.
I've got to say, Guns N' Roses about the same time would have been in my life as well, because we were all alternative, and Guns N' Roses, I think, they're like the gateway of musical drugs to rock, I think, in young people. Guns N' Roses are quite, the iconic songs, aren't they? You've got, if anyone's watched Terminator,
that was that could song. Be mine. I was actually out here the other day, and that came on Triple M. I was just listening to it, and I just cranked it up. That song.
Do you know what I mean? I remember watching movies when I was a kid, and a lot of the songs that I listened to were from music, from the movies, because you'd hear it and you'd be like,
absolutely.
Oh, that was cool, man. So I'll rate that. That's a good story, that.
Yeah,
that'll
awesome.
take some beating if anyone comes on this show and does a top 10.
Yeah. I haven't done songs too. I've done sort of bands and, albums more, because I don't know, I just feel you can get more out of it. So.
I like the way you edited it. I like it. Rate it.
All right, number 4 is around at 16. Now, I love this band when they first came out as well, but this is when I was truly obsessed with them, and they were, probably not now, grown up a little bit, but still love them, is Silverchair. I was obsessed with them. Daniel was my idol. It was even, I had an eating disorder too around that age too, and that, I guess looking up to him, I guess it wasn't why I had an eating disorder. It doesn't work like that. You don't just emulate your idol and stop eating for bands. You don't do that, but I guess having that sort of, and the music and the lyrics and the album at that time, Emotion Sickness. Obviously, I saw them when they played Freak Show, when they toured with that. That was the first ever concert I went to, by the way, a few years earlier. But when they brought out Neon Ballroom, which is, I was going through some stuff, obviously, depression, which developed into an eating disorder, high school issues and everything. But that album, it was like I may as well have written every lyric to that album, starting with Emotion Sickness, Paint Pastel Princess about, antidepressants and all that. It was just ridiculous, and I just love them. And I've seen him live a few times, and there was sort of a journey with Silverchair, because he sort of got better, and then he created other albums in the future, obviously, and I went to those shows, and I remember at the time writing him a letter, and I actually got a response. Actually, that didn't even think about that. Wrote a letter to Silverchair, to Daniel, but it obviously goes to their management, and I actually got a response. I got sent out a signed photo, which is in there somewhere, and just saying, oh, thanks, Rowan. We've actually had a lot of people written with, eating disorders or, depression, emotional issues, and, your letter will be passed on to the band, and it means a lot to us and the band, that the music helps. So, yeah, so that's Silverchair. That's why they're there, and they're just one of my all-time favourites.
It's a huge one as well, because two things I've picked up from this. Year 11 was, if anyone watched my one, was when I started really evolving my music.
Yeah.
So I went another way to you. You've gone a bit heavier. I went more, I don't know.
Emo.
Yeah. I mean, it's no longer a bad word. Emo. It
Emo's
used to
great
be.
word. I mean, those bands, My Chemical
It
Romance,
used to
they're
be.
awesome.
Used to be a swear word
Yeah.
back in my day. It used to be like,
Yeah.
you know, the scourge. I mean, like, honestly, it was horrible.
Death and depression.
Yeah, I mean, and I probably was there. But it's funny.
I
think,
was there, just in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Music does speak to you. Like, I know My Chemical Romance, the stuff I was going through, I wasn't, had an eating disorder, but I was a messed up 16-year-old. It was definitely felt like sometimes you'd put a CD on and you'd listen to it, and it was almost like they vicariously had watched your life.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it was you singing.
Yeah.
But someone else was singing for you. It was
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, and I
Spoke
think
to you.
Yeah, and that's the awesome thing about music. Like, it can relate to so many people on so many different levels in so many different ways, and not all of it does. But there's different parts of it. You know, you can have 3 chords that can be played differently and sound completely different and sung to differently. Like, it is just one of the. It's my favorite art. You know, I'm not good musically. I tried playing guitar. I could a little bit. Never been that great at it. Like, but following it, being a fan, having that, being obsessed with it, yeah. Massively.
It's huge as well, and I think it is a kind of escapism, isn't it? Because like a lot of my mates will come in the car with me and listen to My Chemical Romance, and they'll be like, "Oh, you suicidal," taking the piss. But it's weird now. I listen to the music as a happy 35-year-old.
Yeah.
That I still get the same emotions I did when I was 16, and it kind of similarly makes me proud when I listen to it. That I remember how I used to feel, and now it makes me feel happy.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer my coping mechanism. It kind of makes me proud that I've come from there.
Yeah.
And I'm now listening and enjoying the song and enjoying the journey that I experienced.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I was a big fan of them too, and but I never related to those lyrics, I guess, on a real emotional way. I just loved the music and the way it was sung and what they were about. Well, not so much what they were about, but like I just thought that they were cool and different and massive. But yeah, it's funny. Obviously, you related them probably on a more emotional and personal level, whereas I sort of just rocked out to them. But
yeah, it's weird as well because in my video I was talking about Helena and you know the lines.
Well, yeah.
And the lyrics of the song, like a hearse you die to get in again.
Yeah.
And like now I listen to it and go, what the fuck is he on about?
Yeah.
But at the time,
it's about the grandmother, isn't it?
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? At the time, that just like I could give you 1,000 things of what that meant. And like now I'm like, it's a bit of a gash lyric actually. To be fair,
I don't know. I was watching your video there. I actually love it. Like, yeah, I've never really thought about it all too much.
No, I was
but
like, it's a clever lyric, but like now I'm like thinking, bit pants.
Yeah.
But at the time, it meant like so much emotionally that like lyric, and it's weird as we get older. The music still we love it, but the meaning will probably change.
Yeah, I mean, just on them quickly. I think probably the most poignant lyric that they've got it's relevant to us is "Teenagers scare the living shit out of me."
Yeah,
I think
Teenagers is a great song.
Yeah, and it's very true, isn't it? Like,
Oh yeah, kids. I mean, I'd actually change it to any kid.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, kids, terrifying things.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't got any kids. I actually thought of putting in the 30s, like, a song from what the kids have listened to. So, you know, like something you know, like the Wiggles, what was...
look, I could, but it's all rubbish, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I don't want to waste anyone's time or my own, really.
Australia's
so,
biggest selling band, though, so that's an argument.
Wiggles, yeah.
For any Australians
Yeah.
who say their music's good, just remember, they've sold more records than anyone.
And they're in phase 2 with Emma Wiggle, who's superstar. So my daughter knows about it. So, yeah. She was...
Wiggle.
Yeah. All right, so number 5, we'll skip to just when I finished in high school, and obviously band I listened to all through there, but I'll pick them at number 5 around 18, 19 is Blink-182. You can't leave them out.
If Nick's watching this, my mate Nick Gowan, he's got tattoos all about Blink.
I mean, and they're still awesome now. Like they're still awesome now, and they always will be, with or without Tom. I mean, Tom brings that different dynamic, but we're talking around 2000. This time they were massive. Obviously, they had their first album, and they broke through with Dude Ranch, Enema of the State, and then the 4th one, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, I think. Yeah. Saw them at the Big Day Out. 2000. Yeah, 2000. I saw them at the Big Day Out, and then obviously they were massive. Saw them again. Finished in high school. Had a girlfriend who I wasn't with her at the time, didn't really know her. I went to a different high school for my last year in year 12, and Gemma, I saw her at the gig, didn't really know her, but met her, sort of got to know her a little bit later out at a party kind of thing, and got together, and we were right into Blink, and just always have been, man. Like, they're just great. Like, they're so funny, they're so catchy. I still, at work, I still spin them. They're still, regularly on my playlist.
Especially if you go back to that earlier stuff, like, you talked about Dude Ranch and
Yeah.
things like that. The fact that their songs were heavily laden with really weird things, like you got subjects like masturbation,
Yep.
where nowadays I don't think anyone does anything like that. Like,
masturbation. Yeah, I mean, they're talking,
it's real teenage music, isn't it? Because
Yeah, it
it's
is.
all the things that you're experiencing that you probably don't talk
and
to
the
your dad
light
about.
banter too, though. Like, I mean, what, peanut butter on your dog's genitals,
Yeah.
and
It's kind of things
having
though.
sex with your dad or your Tom's dad, and it's just ridiculous. but-
It's kind of teenage
Yeah,
stuff though,
it
because
is,
like you'd
yeah.
say stuff like that to your mate, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, have you slept with your dad?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you put peanut butter on your balls?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Little stupid things. It was kind of like the conversations you couldn't have with your parental units were done via the music.
Yeah.
So it felt like you were relatable, and no one does that anymore.
I mean, they captured that market too, didn't they? The teenagers. I mean, they were a bit older, but they just nailed that.
It's
as
like
far
I
as
was saying-
speaking to the youth.
It's like I think Green Day were one of the most brilliantest bands of all time, because they had that evolution from stupid music, stupid subject matter, and then as people got older, it became more political and
Yeah.
look about what's going around in the world.
Yeah, like Longview. I mean,
And
that's probably what
And I think that's genius. Green Day went a different way. They
Yeah.
went fun band
political.
to everyone's evolved, and they
Yeah.
kept the kind of the same audience where you hear young kids listen to Blink
Yeah.
because it is fun music.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah.
Love Blink. Good
Yeah.
shout. I didn't have them in there. I listen to a lot of Blink.
Yeah.
Punk.
Yeah, even there was an EP that they done. I didn't even know back in 2013. We were actually at work in the car when that song came
Yeah.
on Triple J, and it was Dog Eat. I think it's Dog Eat Dog EP. It's got a dog on the front of it. I forget what it's called, but I've been listening to it, and I'm like, how did I miss this? Like, it's got 5 songs on it, and it's just epic. And I think the last recording they did with Tom before he left and moved on. But yeah, I forget what it's called, but you'll find it. It's really good. All right. Age 23, number 6 will be Muse, one of UK's finest. Into them since they came out again, but yeah, around that time I was listening to them quite heavily. Absolution came out, went and saw them at Festival Hall on the Absolution tour with one of my best mates, my sister and his brother, and it was just an epic show. And yeah, I mean, and they're that kind of band. I mean, they're kind of faded a little bit now. I don't listen to them too much, but I mean, for years they were just album after album. They were just solid. They were just ridiculous. So yeah, Muse has to be in there.
It was very a niche sound, isn't it, Muse? If you listen to like early Muse and then in their progression, it's very opposite of everything else around. So
Well, it's just so music. Like, I think the piano part sort of got me.
and his voice, his voice is beautiful. Matt Bellamy's.
Yeah, and I mean, and he's self-taught too. I don't think he had a music lesson. I don't know if he did after they, doing it to try and evolve a bit. But from everything I read in the early days, like showbiz and that, he was self-taught, which is amazing. Like, to sing like that, play guitar like that, play piano like that. It's ridiculous.
A lot of weird bands, like we had Keen, we had Muse, you had Placebo. They were massive around that time as well.
Thanks for bringing. Yeah, they actually didn't
Kind
make
of
it.
fell off.
I'm surprised that they're not in there.
I'm shocked.
I'll say that's a spoiler. I don't know why they're not actually, but
But
you
I
you can't fit everyone in.
It's hard. It is
Yeah.
hard because there's a lot of bands I left out of my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, them bands though.
I'm getting a few sneaky ones in.
Yeah,
there,
Placebo, Muse,
Yeah.
Keen. If you listen to their stuff, it
Yeah.
is so alien
Yeah.
to anyone else. So it is kind of hard to evolve that to a modern day market, because I'd say now, this is a controversial comment, the ear palette isn't as refined as it was back in my day, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my pop would say was his case as well, as we got every generation. But definitely music now is gash compared to then.
Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, you actually find too that there's these bands that I was listening to growing up are still going around because it's got that sort of, what's the word?
It's got that nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia, but yeah, it's sort of like that 20-year window. Kind of think 20 years, and
yeah, when you
especially
put, you're old when Magic FM's on, and they put, like the other day, Magic FM, they played Famous Last Words by My Chemical Romance.
Oh wow!
I was in the car and I was like, oh my god, how old am I? Like, and it was in between Nutbush City Limit by Tina Turner, so it was the weirdest transition. Happy song, sad song. I was like, this is quality. We're old.
Yeah, that's nuts.
We're old Higgs.
Yeah, we are.
Can't deal with it. I'd imagine a lot of this audience have probably never heard
I don't feel it.
Never
Well,
heard
I
of the
do
band.
feel it, but in here, physically yes, mentally no. So
Still a kid.
all right. So number 7, round 24-25, Kings of Leon. That's love this band. Absolutely love them. Only album I didn't like was the one that made them, with Sex on Fire and all that.
That's
there was
a great tune, though.
There was one song on that album that was good, which was Crawl. Yeah, because I don't like.
You didn't like Sex on Fire?
Not really, no. Too commercial. I
knew he was going to say
yeah,
it.
it's a commercial. Sold out, man. The only thing I respect is they haven't been anywhere near as popular after that. But they've still produced some really good music after it. But yeah, seeing them and and the reason why I also put them in there, that favourite album of them is because of The Times, which is, around 2006, 2007, I think. And my firstborn, Charlotte, was born. I remember driving back from the hospital and had the CD in the car. I was just driving down the shops and it was Knocked Up, the first track off that album, and it's sort of like that. Sort of always think of her, sort of, and that I've vision that, her birth, that time at the hospital, just going on that drive, just down the shops and just not a great thing. I was just going down the supermarket, I think, to get some snacks or whatever. She was in the hospital, but yeah, I know it's sort of just just brings back that, triggers that memory, and obviously I've listened to them a lot, and yeah, love them, man.
Can't believe you don't like Sex on Fire. That's a great tune.
It's
a great tune.
Look, it's all right.
It's like the rock version of Pony. It is.
Yeah, but it's so well known. Like, it's just they got so many better songs, and the album's shit. The album is crap.
Controversial. Great memory though. I'll give you that. Kings of Leon.
Aha, Shake Heartbreak was the one that sort of, Triple J were giving them a real big spin. That's like got King of the Rodeo on it, The Bucket, that sort of country, with Tennessee kind of sound with the vocals, 3 brothers and a cousin, growing up with a dad who's a travelling preacher, growing up in the church, sort of rebelling a little bit, sort of,
It's the perfect American story.
Yeah,
isn't
it is. It's
Kings of Leon. It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Like,
the doco Talahina Sky I think it's called, is pretty good too. So yeah, so they're in there. Before Sex on Fire came out too, they were at the big day out, and they had that obviously good-looking blokes. I'll just say on that, the girls. I was single at the time, and I don't know, I never really picked up at concerts or anything. But you look around, I remember 4 girls to the left of me were just going mental, like not in a crazy screaming way, just sort of rocking out mental, and they were hot. And it's just like, gee, the girls that love this band they
were good-looking boys.
They were good-looking boys, yeah.
Proper mid noughties, late noughties rock hair as well. They had that
long hair.
They looked unkept, but they were kept. It was that happy place between homeless and refined that they lived in, which is cool. I think.
They're stallions. There's no doubt about it. Yeah,
good-looking boys.
Yeah, good-looking fellas.
Good-looking boys.
All right, so I'll go age 30. Now this is hard. Obviously, it's hard because there's so many on there. But I picked this one because I was listening to them heavy at the time. Another UK band, Scotland though, Biffy Clyro.
Oh, what a band!
One of the best live bands you can ever see. Like, these guys just go off.
One of the few singers as well who's Scottish, and you can tell he's Scottish when he sings. Amazing effort.
They're ridiculous. They're there just because I was listening to them a lot at that time, and it was just the Opposites album was just great. With Biblical on it. What else? There's a Victory Over the Sun, I think, on that. It's yeah. So getting old, your memory fails you sometimes. But yeah, I was going through it was just after a marriage breakup. Yeah, I was pretty emotional. I sort of connected with some of those songs, and I had some family. Long story short, some family issues, and I was sort of reconnecting with my brother-in-law, who I referred to earlier as well. I was sort of back for the Spurs and all that. We didn't talk for quite a while, which is a separate issue, but he was heavily into them, and they toured and played Soundwave, which is a hard rock festival, and Placebo were at that one as well. And that was one of the best days of my life, and I was just out with like 7 of my mates, and just age 30 or whatever, going to a rock gig, and they were playing, and it was just it was just sick. They were playing at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, can you believe? So I had to get up early to go. Like Biffy Clyro at 12 o'clock. We just walked pretty much straight to the front.
They were so good.
Yeah, Flemington Racecourse, man, just walk straight down. Yeah, they're not that big over here. They're just not like, not like Glastonbury. When they're headlining it. When you see some of those videos.
Did you ever get the UK cover of that because they sung When We Collide, that song, When We Collide We Come Together? The guy who won British X Factor, he covered it, and it was like huge in the UK because everyone was against it because Biffy Clyro was the original. Everyone was kicking off that Simon Cowell jumped on the rock bandwagon to get a pop version of it. I forgot his name. It was like either Matt Lawson or someone like that.
Yeah.
But I know the Americans, when they hear that song, they're always like, "Oh, this is like UK pop idol winner."
Yeah,
you're like, "No, it's not. It's Biffy Clyro."
Yeah, like Sex on Fire. Oh, that's Kings of Leon. Do you know another song? No. Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I'm a snob, but yeah, so they're there because of that. So
great band.
Yeah, I mean, not one of my all-time favourites. Like obviously I love them and all that, but there's so many. But they say like they probably wouldn't get in my top 10 of all time. But we're talking sort of times in your life when you remember certain things and
get on YouTube and listen to it because their video clips are stellar as well. Like honestly, Biffy Clyro video clips.
Yeah.
Whoever does their videography. Genius, because they're like movies.
Yeah,
it's a bit like 30 Seconds to Mars as well. They don't do a bad video clip.
Yeah,
like
they're good.
Just some bands just nail it. Brilliant.
Epic voice too, Jared Leto.
Good looking boy as well.
Prick of a bloke.
Good looking boy. Tell you what.
Prick of a bloke, but good actor, good band. But it's absolute.
Requiem for a Dream, brilliant movie as well. He's in. Solid work.
Not a good bloke though. He's so up himself. Like he's notoriously. I've seen interviews.
He does look like the kind of bloke that would ask for no red Skittles in a bowl.
I've seen him on stage. He just sweat. He's just anyway. But yeah, enough on them.
Ugly Brother as well.
What we haven't done actually. What we should do. This is taking a while. I hope people don't get bored. Should go favourite song by every band because I'm just sort of going through the bands and the albums, and I actually wouldn't want to throw you into it. I'll restart. We'll continue it on, but you can't say favourite song by Mental as anything, but. E17, what would be your favourite song?
Stay Now.
Stay, yeah.
It just makes me think of Christmas and...
Yeah, and mine would probably be House of Love. That was the first one that sort of got me.
Oh, yeah?
Although that and West End Girls, that cover of Pet Shop Boys was pretty sweet.
That was actually quite a good cover.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of anyone who covers 80s music, but that wasn't a bad one.
Yeah.
I'll let that pass.
Gunners?
I'd say Welcome to the Jungle...
Yeah.
invokes memories for me. I remember my mate Guy Ferret smashing that. He was a huge Guns N' Roses fan, so that always sticks in my head as like a song that I'd really relate to. I do want to say Sweet Child of Mine, but I think it's cliche, but it is a song that...
It's hard. I'm throwing myself under the bus a little bit here because it's so hard to
If you play that song, every human being in the world, like you could go to the top of the mountain top.
It's the best intro of all time. Like it's just so...
And if you just don't get
sick of it, as soon as you hear that intro, it's just, yeah. Yeah, that and... Yeah, I love... Probably one I'll listen to I don't favourite. I'll just say favourite's one that, sticks out in mind for me is Get in the Ring, because Off User Illusion 2 talking about, it had swearing in it, and obviously that was a bit taboo at that time. Gunners were doing it, and swearing wasn't really that much. I know Offspring sort of brought it in, but where swearing sort of was okay, like Bad Habit, and yeah, it's just, yeah, so I'll say Get in the Ring. I'll not say favourite, I'll say most sort of, monumental song that you think of, so I'll say that one. Silverchair?
What's the song with the video clip where he's sweating?
Freak.
Yeah, it's definitely that one.
Yeah.
From the video clip, I've got to say Silverchair, haven't listened to a lot of it, but I know that video clip was smashed on TV. And the song was
great
good,
clip,
but the video clip was brilliant.
Yeah, with the heaters in there and they're sweating. They got to keep the sweat, and meanwhile, the chicks getting an operation to turn into in the 90s too. That was almost ahead of its time. That I'll say for me. I'll say Motion Sickness, that first track of that Neon Ballroom album, just because the intro is epic and just what it's about, and it's like a story and just the changes in it and all that. I'll say that one.
Big.
Blink 182. Gosh, this is hard.
Adam's song.
Yeah, right.
I used to smash that song. I mean, there's a delve into my mental state as a kid.
Yeah.
To tell you what, don't listen to that song.
Well, that was out at the same time
that
I was having the Silverchair and that, Enema of the State album was out. Yeah, Adam's song. Yeah, that's an epic song.
Great song.
Favourite song by him. I'll go old school, which is one that off their first album. I'll go Carousel.
Oh wow! Yeah, I go back.
Wait, not only that, they did Buddha, which was pre-record garage recordings as well, which some of the songs were off that, then some songs didn't make it to the first album. But Carousel on that didn't have the extended intro, but it just started with dun 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 dun. Yeah, I'd go that one. And I remember listening to it, Aren't You Feeling Alone? Guess it's just another night at home. I remember being in high school, like you just wanted to go out, you weren't getting calls from your friends, and you just feel, Aren't You Feeling Alone? It's just another night. Yeah, I'll say that one.
Yeah, Blink-182. I tell you what, two depressive songs.
Yeah.
Blink-182. Yeah, the boys.
Muse.
I might go Knights of Sidonia for this one.
Oh yeah. Won the Hottest 100 1 year too, by the way.
Did it?
Triple J Hottest 100. Yeah, 2006 or 7.
Because that song just
2007,
rings
I
out that it's just a song that was so different to anything else out there. It's kind of like an opera.
Yeah,
it's like a theatre of a song.
Yeah, and live too when they got it on the screens and you got the sort of like the cowboys and the clip is epic.
It's like the music
and
version of strobe lights.
Yeah.
Because your ears need a warning because it's just all over the place, but it works.
Yeah, and I don't think it was ever meant. I don't think it was meant to be a single. Like they were shocked when it won the Hottest 100, and it really probably shouldn't even have been in there that year because it wasn't really a single. The album, all the other songs had been the year before. I don't know how it made it, but
yeah, that song strikes me.
It probably deserves it.
So different. To
epic live
I've
too
heard.
when you've got like the screens and it's got No One's Gonna Take Me Alive. It's.
Such a good song. It's such a good song.
Yeah, Muse need to come back hard as a protest band with what we've been through with COVID and everything, and just sort of like freaking name of it. But yeah, they will not control us. What? Fuck. I'm ashamed of myself.
Good band though, Muse.
I'll come back to it.
They are the best.
Epic song.
Great tune. Get it downloaded into your Spotify.
Your favourite Kings of Leon song? Sex on Fire.
He's gonna hate me. It would be Sex on Fire.
What a loser.
It's a cracking tune.
What a loser.
It's a cracking. That was probably my go-to date night song as well. Like if my wife watches this, she'll know if that song's ever somewhere in the playlist. I'm sending subliminal messaging. Just totally ruined my marriage in this video. Cool tune. I can't believe you don't like it. Great tune. Everyone likes Sex on Fire.
Yeah.
Everyone, even people who don't like music, like Sex on Fire.
Yeah, well, it's about an STD or something.
Yeah, probably.
No, I don't think it is. But Biffy Clyro.
Mountains.
Yeah.
I like the song.
Yeah.
And the video clip's brilliant.
Yeah, I'll go biblical.
I like how he's Scottish halfway through that song, and then he's not Scottish halfway through the song.
Yeah.
Trippy.
Weird lyrics though. Actually, have you ever looked up? I've never looked up the meaning or if it's even about anything. Like,
I wonder what it is. I always, when I hear that song, I always think it's a breakup song.
yeah, which is actually why they made the list because those songs in that album is sort of it was a lot about breakups and that opposites.
I always
no, it's not opposite,
when I listen
similarity.
to when I listen to that song, because the worst thing I ever found was songmeanings.net.
Yeah.
Where like they'll actually, if the artist has told you what the song's about, it'll be on there. But usually it's just a forum where people throw their ideas in.
Yeah.
And it's great to go on there because it shows you how music means something different. Because like the songs on there where I would take about like depression and other people have taken it another way about moving on. But I always think that song Mountains to me is like him having that moment of realisation that the relationship's over, but he's strong enough to get through it. And he is somebody in regaining his self-worth.
Yeah, yeah.
But he'll probably come on.
Right.
He'll probably come on now and say, "No, it's about hiking."
Yeah, let's get him on. Go on, Simon. Come out. Get him as your next guest, man. Go on, shout out.
Great tune.
All right. We're caught up now on my list. I've got 2 to go, so we'll go 34, 35. So by this time in my life, I'll remarried with Tam and happier, and this is a band I've listened to for a long time, but we listen to them a lot together, seen them live together a few times, is Birds of Tokyo.
Birds of Tokyo.
Who has and Ian Kennedy is probably one of the greatest singers in Australia. His voice is amazing. His Carnival too is awesome. You know them? Look up Carnival. That's actually their first band. Birds of Tokyo is actually like an offshoot band from them. Like it's got two different bands. Birds of Tokyo have been a lot more, you know, commercially mainstream successful. But yeah, I just love these guys, man. They're just live. They're awesome. The way he sings, his actions, just musically, they're just ripping bloke too. Been through a marriage breakup himself too of recent. You know, he's
done
singing
very
about
well
that.
here, linking things to you. I'm very impressed here, Higgs.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, this is solid work. This is what it's about.
So yeah, great live band. Yeah, epic tracks. Your favourite song by them?
I don't know enough about them. I'm gonna hold my hand up. Look, horrible.
Yeah, edit it. Just pause it. Come back. Go back to that bit. Oh, what's your favourite song? Oh yeah, I'll say. I'm
a genius. It's research. Like everyone who sent me their
Lanterns,
top 10.
Yeah.
How a lot of people who sent these top 10, there's been bands on there, especially the younger guys. And I'm so old. I'm like, who the fuck are these?
Yeah.
And I have actually added a few to the old YouTube music playlist just on the back of this. So Birds of Tokyo will get a run with Carnival after this, and we'll listen and I'll check back.
Yeah, and we'll come to now, and this is the last band. So thanks for sticking around if you're still here.
Be Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's another Australian band. I don't know if you know them. I went with these guys because they're probably the band that I've listened to the most, love the most, and is most sort of still carrying on that rock legacy, hard sort of rock Australian. There's a few around that do it, but this band from Brisbane, and they've got a cult following. They're quite big, is Violent Soho. These guys are out of Brisbane. Hey, here's another one.
Look at him, uneducated Pommy. Yeah. If it ain't from England, it's trash mentality.
Yeah. I picked. Well, this is a personal thing, so this is why I picked them. They're one of the best live bands I've seen in a long time. Just probably because I listen to them so much, they're just carrying on that. I just love their music, love what they're about. Just I don't know. I just resonate with them. I just don't get sick of them. Every album, still play their songs all the time. My wife and I love them. Like, yeah.
You've sold them. I'm gonna have to listen to them. You've sold that's a big sell, bro. I'm invested.
They're very good, man. Very good. They were the band. You know, I went to that. A year ago, we went to
the Toilet Paper Gate Festival.
Yeah, the Toilet Paper Festival.
Toilet Paper Gate Festival.
Yeah. Papergate. Yeah, they were there. Them and Skeggs, and they were the two main bands. Yeah, we're throwing the toilet paper everywhere, and one of the guitarists. So I'll let them know on that one. Yeah, I've got time to let them know that. Why not? Yeah, so we're at a festival, and I was with a mate, and we go to the toilet, and there's this guy just ran, and there's this pallet. We're going in there, there's the male toilets, and there's a pallet of toilet paper, and so I went there, and there's this guy just throwing, like, there's so many rolls, yeah, it's industrial size, and he's just they're throwing toilet paper over the wall. And there's this guy, and he just grabs this bag of about 18 rolls. And I said to my mate Terry, I go, I'm following him, let's go. And he's just walking from the toilets back towards the main stages, and I've got this, I'm following him. And he was cactus. And he just starts, and he looks at me and goes, oh, hey, hands me one. I go, yep, no worries. He's throwing it in. Toilet paper's going, like, all everywhere. And the band sort of noticed it, and it was cool, because it's harmless. I mean, toilet paper's not going to hit anyone, but you sort of, reminds me of the South Park episode where they TP the house.
Yeah.
And, anyway, so that happened, and then later on, that was earlier in the day, and then later on there was still toilet paper going. So what people have cottoned on to it, and obviously gone to the toilets, and they've been bringing it out. So
and then like a year later, we had a toilet paper shortage. So like, you carried a trend that was so hot that people just kept taking toilet paper.
Yeah, well done, man. Yeah, nice link. That's good.
I never forget that March time, and like literally counting down the toilet paper until it got to panic stations when I go to bed and there'd be one roll in the house, and I'm like, gotta get toilet paper tomorrow. So that was a solid year. That was probably my favourite time. You know, if we did times instead of music, 2020 was my favourite time, March, of living in the 21st century.
Yeah, people getting assaulted over, toilet paper in supermarkets.
It was a great time. Like, I can't wait to tell my grandkids I survived.
That happened in Sydney, though, so it wouldn't happen in Melbourne, you wouldn't think.
I don't know. I was packing them when I was in Paco, yeah. Some people got shot for talking about. Well, thank you for sticking around. Please
Appreciate it.
send in your top 10 if you want to come on, do top 10, talk about sport, talk about music. Hell, we'll talk about anything here for Bants. As long as it's got content. Content is content.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Higgsy, for joining.
It's been a pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure.
And make sure you drop the like and subscribe. And until next time, see you later.